guys, and welcome back. We've got a couple little projects going on today. After we got our chores done inside, we came outside to do some garden work. Our tomatoes plants are starting to get a little bit bigger, so we really need to get the rest of our cages around them. I had some built from last year, but we're growing more tomatoes this year, so I needed to make some more cages. This is literally like one of the easiest projects you can do. All you're going to need is a pair of wire cutters of some sort. I unfortunately have needle nose today. My husband has the good wire cutters with him at work. And all I've got is some normal welded wire fencing, anything you can get from your local feed and farm store, really easy to get. I've got a nice one that's just little 4x4 squares, and all you're going to first do is roll it out to the size that you want. I find that about 12 of these squares is perfect for a tomato plant. You're going to roll to one past where you want. Use my foot to hold it out. On that one that's one past, doesn't have to be perfect, just find a middle spot and start cutting apart the fence. As you can see with this fencing, it's nice. Towards the bottom here, the squares get a little bit smaller, which is good for keeping the smaller rodents and things away from your tomatoes. But the main reason to have tomato cages is to help support those plants, because otherwise they'll fall over. They're not strong enough to hold their tomatoes, and they'll just start growing right across the ground, and then your tomatoes will rot if they're on the ground when they try to ripen. You'll never get a good tomato that way. And then we'll bring our two cut ends together there to make a nice circle, which this can be a little tedious, but once you get it going, you'll have it. Just bring them together, and then I'm just going to use my fingers, use a pair of pliers if you want, and I'm just going to start bending my cut ends over. Now you can go really in depth with this if you want, and actually really wrap them together so that you don't have to worry about these pokey little ends getting you. You may want to do that if you have kids out in your garden who aren't going to be as careful with what they're doing so that they don't poke themselves. Otherwise, we'll just go through and bend them all together. Bend's pretty easy. You can use pliers if you want, but really, I mean, it goes pretty easy with your fingers. Alright, now that that's all finished, I'll bring you over to the garden and show you what it looks like. So as you can see, we've got a few up already here, and I definitely suggest staking them in. You can use more wire and even just do a U over it and push it down into the ground if you want. We're using some sticks from brush that Chris was actually taking over down behind the chicken coop to reuse them as stakes, and I like to use a little bit of the bigger ones. We get some good winds here, so I don't want it to take these down and take down the tomato plants with it. Like today, we've got that weather station up. If you guys saw that, even just this week, we had a peak of 18-mile-an-hour winds. So we do get decent winds here. You don't want it to take your tomato plants down. And if you guys have never used tomato cages before, all you're going to do is as your plant gets bigger and bigger and it starts to branch out, you can help it out by just pulling its branches through these little holes. When it does, when it starts making its tomatoes, kind of drape the tomatoes over the edge so it has something to really support itself with and it doesn't start falling onto the ground. I also wanted to update you guys that the mint that we planted is doing really, really well. I'm going to be planting another patch of mint hopefully today in an area that we're going to let it spread. And I'm also going to be posting pictures to our Facebook page at Windy Cedar Farm tonight of the windowsill onions that we did and how those are coming in. And we also put up a post last night of the fruit trees that we planted, and also some quick tips and tricks and pictures for long-term storage of carrots, because we processed a bunch of those down. So make sure that you guys also head over there and check that out. Today we're also hilling our potatoes. I'm a little bit behind on some of them, but some of them are perfect timing to start hilling. So I'm happy they're all starting to come in. I have a row of red potatoes and a row of Katahdin potatoes. So hopefully we'll get some nice, good produce this year. And depending on what you have in abundance for your hilling, in order to save yourself some and use the resources that you have, you can layer back and forth with old straw, or like I'm using here, grass clippings that have dried out mostly from the lawn, and then layer over with some soil, and that'll save you on soil for what you have room for. But I did this last year and it works really well. The only thing you have to be careful is you want to make sure you have nice thick layers of straw where it's nice and compact, or lay it over with dirt really well, because you don't want the sunlight to get to your potatoes. Otherwise you end up with green potatoes, which are poisonous, and that would obviously be a waste of your crop. But using whatever you have available, and then it'll save you a little bit of money and some of your resources. Gypsy moths are driving me nuts. I've got a fresh one poking up right there. Just a little guy. Give him some space.